Port Charlotte high school teacher told to take this door decoration down she made for Black History Month.
Thank you all for participating in this. I'm going to go ahead and remove it.
What better way to cap off a month of blackface, tokenism, and headlines seeking to rewrite US history to skip over that whole native genocide slavery part than a teacher being forced to remove a Black History Month tribute to Colin Kaepernick? Okay, so let's start with this. If you want to start taking down tributes or art pieces because they may offend some people, maybe we can start with the whole schools named after Confederate generals thing. You know, those hundreds of schools dedicated to the likes of Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and Jefferson Davis. Most of which, by the way, just in case you want to go down the whole "these are historic monuments" route, were built after 1950, close to a century after the end of the Civil War. But nonetheless, while generations of young black children have been forced to go to schools named after the generals who sought to keep their ancestors enslaved, here we have a teacher who was forced to remove a piece of art because it offended a couple of local townsfolk.
You know, if you can't respect the flag and country and you want to make political statements out of things, do it on your own time.
Now, it just so happens the story came to my attention and riled me up as I was rereading a fascinating chapter in the memoir of civil rights icon John Carlos, where he discusses the backlash he and his family faced after he raised his fist during the 1968 Olympics. In one instance, he describes how his daughter at the time was often shamed by school officials who spoke of her father as a traitor and wanted her classmates to believe this to be the truth. And yet today we wonder why it took the country 40 plus years to acknowledge the sacrifice he and Tommy Smith made and honor them as the freedom fighters they are. All while the exact same thing is happening today with Colin Kaepernick. It came to the point that the similarities are so obvious that you need to either be stupid or willfully ignorant not to notice them. And my chips are on the latter, because while we are supposed to be celebrating Black history for just this 1 month out of 12, which I think is ridiculous and I don't really get, why not just have Black history be a focal point of US history, seeing how it is dedicated to honoring those who used their voices to speak up? We have people trying to silence them, when these heroes should instead be celebrated and used, at the very least, as a means to further conversation about this nation's actual history rather than some milquetoast whitewashed version. The great James Baldwin warned about this problem in his 1963 address, A Talk to Teachers, when he said, precisely at the point when you begin to develop a conscience, you must find yourself at war with your society. This is why educated individuals, he continued, bear a particular responsibility to make change. And as was the case back then when he stated that people are trapped in history and history is trapped in them, there was a movement to silence outspoken black voices by misrepresenting their message or removing them completely from the conversation. Which is why this modern day example, as insignificant as it may appear to some people, is carried out with that same purpose: to erase Kaepernick's impact and smear him as a traitor rather than celebrating him as the freedom fighter he is. It just seems to me that heroes are only acceptable in the classroom when approved by the majority, which, as history has shown, often leads to people like this being celebrated and people like this being vilified. I would love to hear what you have to think on this. Come and comment, send me a message, whatever you want to do, on Instagram at Francis M. Maxwell. You can become a member at tyte.com/join. Did you know that TYT Network is now available on YouTube's new streaming platform, YouTube TV? Get access to full TYT episodes and exclusive shows by signing up for YouTube TV today. All new subscribers get a 7-day free trial, so head over to youtube.tv and search for the TYT Network channel.